welcome back to my channel. Today is a continuation of wedding planning from my previous video for the remaining 6 months. If you haven't already, be sure to check out part 1 of the wedding planning timeline video. So we are at 6 months left. That means we're halfway there. This is the time to send out the save the dates. If it's a destination wedding, it is recommended to send out the save the dates a little sooner, around the 7 to 8 month timeline for guests to book their travels. So since I have better handwriting than my fiance, I hand addressed all the envelopes and then he did all the stuffing and stamping afterwards. Here is what our save the dates look like. We opted for a trifold that I ordered off Shutterfly with a glossy finish. Next on the list is to research where to host your rehearsal dinner. It could be at a restaurant, your home, or your parents' home, etc. Don't forget to purchase your wedding bands at this time. This is not something you want to wait last minute on because exchanging of the rings is a pretty important part of the ceremony. If you plan on going on a honeymoon right after the wedding, be sure to research honeymoon destinations and book your flights before the airfare costs increase. A lot of couples nowadays opt to wait out on their honeymoon, which is totally a great idea to have more time and less stress to plan a honeymoon after a wedding. Around 4 to 5 months prior, I felt as if there should be a lot for me to do, but since I had done all the major things in advance, the busyness sort of plateaued out. It's totally normal if you feel the same way at this time. Take the freedom while you can because it will definitely change real soon. If you have already finished all your food and cake tasting, this is a time to finalize your menu selections for the wedding. Next is to see if there are certain decor items that you need to rent and be sure to reach out to the rental company to get those reserved. If you have a lot of guests that plan to stay overnight after the wedding, be sure to contact the nearest hotel for a room block. This will guarantee an X amount of rooms for your guests to be able to book before they sell out. If you need transportation on the wedding day, be sure to secure your transportation service at this time. At this time, we also opted for ballroom dance lessons. This is totally optional, but taking ballroom lessons have always been on my bucket list, so this was a great time for us to squeeze this fun activity in. Besides, my fiance has 2 left feet, so he was able to learn a lot from dance lessons. We are down to 3 months left, and this is when things start to pick back up. Be sure to schedule your dress alterations appointments. It takes about 3 to 4 visits for the seamstress to tailor your dress. There are multiple visits spread out with the final fitting around 2 weeks prior to the wedding day. If your dress has a long train and you want to have it bustled, be sure to bring 1 or 2 of your bridesmaids to go over a bustle 101 because this is definitely not something everyone knows how to do. You should also order whatever accessories you plan on wearing that day, i.e. veil, garter, jewelry, wedding shoes, and undergarments. If you plan on sharing personal vows to each other during the ceremony, be sure to get started on writing these. You will only get busier here on out, so don't procrastinate on this. You don't have to finish it all completely at this time, but definitely start drafting it and revisit it every so often. Figure out the ceremony logistics so you can provide to your officiant. Once the ceremony details are finalized, get started on your programs if you plan on having these for your guests. So the bachelorette trip and the bridal shower are what your bridesmaids will throw for you, but the 2 to 3 month timeline is ideal to have either the bachelorette trip or the bridal shower. For me, I had my bachelorette trip 2 months prior and the bridal shower 1 month prior. I had these 2 events split up per month to allow my bridesmaids some wiggle room on their calendars and give them a little break from the spending. If the bachelorette trip, bridal shower, and the wedding day are all too close to each other, it will be one heck of a billing statement for your bridesmaids and for your guests that are attending both the shower and the wedding. 2 months to go! This is time to touch base with all your vendors at this point and connect them with your day of coordinator to ensure their arrival times and the schedule of events. At this time, you'll start having some payment deadlines approaching from now until the week of the wedding, so definitely have calendar reminders to help you stay on track with the finances. Depending on where you live, you need to obtain your marriage license in a specific window time frame. So for the state of Virginia, it is within 60 days of the wedding date. Picking up your marriage license is very easy. It only takes about 10 minutes if it's not a crowded courtroom that day. All you need to do is go in with your fiance, sign some papers, provide your identification, and pay up. And that's pretty much it. If your venue allows it, definitely schedule a venue walkthrough with your day of coordinator and the caterer. A walkthrough helps to know where you want specific things to be placed, such as escort cards, photo booth, cake table, and etc. You should also have your rehearsal date and time scheduled and notify your wedding party and day of coordinator so they can be present. If you plan on having a lot of DIY stuff for your wedding, be sure to get started on that sooner than later. What I'm doing here is cutting up my wedding programs that I put together. I simply just printed it out on cardstock and then use a paper cutter to cut them all up. You can also invite your bridesmaids over for some wine and cheese and help on all the DIY stuff for the wedding. You should send your wedding invitations off around 8 to 9 weeks prior. Address, stuff, stamp, and send, and ask for help if you have a lot of invitations, because this is actually a process that takes a while. As I mentioned earlier, this is the ideal time for either the bachelorette trip or bridal shower. This month can get quite overwhelming, but as long as you're organized, you will be totally fine. At this time, you should start recording RSVPs that are coming in. The best way to keep track of this is to have an Excel sheet of the invitations that you sent out, the ones you've received, and the ones that you're still waiting to hear back from. With those that have already turned in their RSVPs, you can start your seating arrangements, and if you plan on having escort cards, this is a time to start putting those together. Escort cards are really needed for pre-selected entrees. However, they are not really needed if you plan on offering buffet or the same entree for everyone. Instead of escort cards, you can save yourself some time and just use a big sign to display the names and tables for guests. All rehearsal logistics, including location, date, time, and post-rehearsal plans, whether it be lunch or dinner, should be finalized at this time. The bride and groom should also have their final fittings no later than 2 weeks prior. If you think you're trying to lose more weight in the next 2 weeks, chances are you won't lose much during that time frame, so don't postpone the final fitting too long. Make sure to purchase any last-minute items you need for the wedding. It's always best to have a checklist to go by, and since our wedding was held at a vineyard, they only offered wine, so we had to do our own calculations on the amount of alcohol for the wedding and purchase the beer and liquor on our own. Be sure to have your makeup trial done a month before the wedding. For me personally, I only scheduled a makeup trial instead of both hair and makeup. About 2 weeks prior, I started my teeth whitening strips using the Crest 3D White. There are 14 treatments in the box, so that's exactly 2 weeks. And I'll link that below if you're interested in using the same product. Don't forget to get thank you gifts for your wedding party and whoever else that you would like to thank that were involved with the wedding. We also put together welcome bags for our out-of-town guests that stayed at the hotel. You can simply drop these welcome bags off at the front desk and they will hand it to your guests when they arrive. So at 2 weeks prior, provide your vendors with requested lists such as a shot list for the photographer and a song list for your band or DJ. Be sure to set aside small envelopes with labels for the vendors you plan on tipping at the end of the wedding. Send the schedule of events to the wedding party and be sure to delegate tasks to your bridesmaids because that's what they're there for, to alleviate all your stress and take care of business. Organize a packing list for you and your fiancé to bring to the venue or assign your bridesmaids and groomsmen to do so. For instance, I had a list of things that I needed like my dress, veil, multiple pairs of shoes, undergarments, etc. that I assigned each bridesmaid to remember to bring. You'll be in different emotional state of mind that day and could be very forgetful. So if your wedding party knows their individual responsibilities, they'll take care of it and all you need to worry about is to get to the venue on time. And also, don't forget to bring your marriage license for your officiant to witness and sign. If you plan on making any changes to your hair, do that at this time. Also, take care of all your waxing services at least 1 week prior. Do not do any facial wax too close to the wedding day, just to prevent any redness or skin irritation. If your honeymoon is right after your wedding, be sure to confirm any reservations you have booked for your trip. You should finalize your vows at this time and make sure to offer a copy to your maid of honor, efficient and keep one for yourself. Keep it old school on a piece of paper. In my opinion, it's really tacky reading off from a cell phone, and the last thing you want is your phone to go off in the middle of your vows. Be sure to get your nails done the week of the wedding and not the day of. I've witnessed a lot of brides with their bridal party getting their nails done the day of. Yeah, that's not a good idea because nail salons are normally busy on weekends, so don't risk being late to your own wedding. Your nails will still look just as nice and fresh a few days prior. Pack for your honeymoon if you're leaving soon after the wedding. Be sure to communicate thoroughly with your day of coordinator. Provide your coordinator everything he or she needs to make your event run smoothly. I provided my coordinator a detailed timeline of events and even an inventory list of the items I brought to the wedding. So happy wedding day, it's finally here. Be sure to get a good night's sleep the night before. It's very important to keep hydrated throughout the day. You also have to make sure that you're eating breakfast and lunch before the wedding. So have your bridesmaids remind you because you do not want to pass out walking down the aisle. And most importantly, just be happy that day and get excited that you're getting married. So for post-wedding, make sure you write your thank you notes to your guests that attended the wedding and also to obtain copies of your marriage certificate from the courthouse. You'll need your marriage certificate for name changes, employer updates for tax purposes, and etc. I was confused in the beginning between marriage license and marriage certificate, but the license is what you obtain before the wedding in order to wed, and the certificate is what you get after you wed as proof that you two are married. Wedding planning can be stressful, but it's definitely something to be ecstatic about because it's a huge milestone in your life. As I mentioned earlier, unexpected things will happen, such as diet fails and weight gain. I didn't lose the X amount of pounds I initially planned for because I started stress eating towards the end, but it's okay. So I also broke my left pinky a few months before the wedding and it stayed swollen for such a long time. My ring finger next to it was also swollen and in pain. So my doctor said there was a chance that I might not be able to wear my ring in time for the wedding. But things like that happen, and I mean, it is what it is, and it turned out fine because I was able to wear my engagement ring and wedding band on the wedding day. The weather might not be on your side that day, but that's completely out of your control. Our wedding day happened to be the coldest day out of the year so far, in the low 30s, and then it went back up in the high 50s the day after. But regardless of whatever unexpected outcomes, it's okay because at the end of the day, you are getting married to the love of your life, not the weather and not the mishaps that arises. Your wedding day will go by very fast, so enjoy every moment possible. If you found this video to be useful, please give it a thumbs up, drop any questions below in the comment box, and I'll be happy to answer them. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in and happy planning.